The Pete Souza Show is back on a Tuesday. We are live here from upstairs of the Alico building in Central Texas, presented by Slovacics, Crawford Austin Properties, of course, Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, D1 Socorro Family Ford. Things are going so well on this show. Socorro Family Ford, they might want a new piece of real estate on the scoreboard over here. They might want to move that over to where D1 is. Maybe we'll do a switch, because we are rocking and rolling. Numbers continue to grow. Like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys checking us out. Hit that alert button. The more and more we talk, I was talking to my buddy at the Big 12 yesterday, this guy, Kari Black. He played basketball in college. I forget where he played. He used to work at the American Conference. And I was talking to him about off-season content for the Big 12. And we were just talking about, and this is more the Pete Souza Show, not necessarily how the Big 12 could craft this, but we were just talking about where everything's going, and more reaction stuff. You know, I got to get myself into a place where I keep threatening you guys with more reaction stuff. I almost did it Saturday after the Texas Tech loss. We talked about that yesterday. I was so dejected. But I also like, I have a gauge on myself. Like, do people really want to hear what I have to say after a Texas Tech basketball game? Like, I don't know. And that's just me being honest, right? Like, I drone on enough around here and at home. So anyways, but I think that's something we should probably do. And we're going to get more into that. So hit that alarm button, okay? So we can let you know when we do start to go live at random times in the middle of the night. So if you can't sleep and I can't sleep, we can talk together while we both can't sleep, because Texas Tech blew a lead. By the way, we're going to be talking to Chris Pollah from ESPN and SiriusXM Radio, former Army basketball player, former Duke assistant. He is now the co-host of a show called The Social Replay with ESPN's Down Cuff. Like I say to Chris when I chat with him, you got to watch the show. Number one, because it's funny. There's two dudes that are real talented and know a lot about hoops, but they're both funny and they have a good chemistry and they do a nice job breaking each other's balls. And it's a lot of fun. And I mentioned this to Chris. I was like, Chris is an Army guy. Okay. You just look, man, he's an Army guy. Tours of duty, Army guy. Like, I have a reverence for those type of people, and in this case, dudes, that is just like up here. So when I get to talk to Chris, anytime, I've worked probably 3 or 4 basketball games with him over the past 2 years, and he's funny, he's to the point, and honestly, I feel like for me, he commands respect. But he also has amazing analysis on college hoops, and he's got a wealth of knowledge that he dips into when he shares that analysis. And, you know, talking to him today about the Final Four, where college basketball is going, the 4 number 1 seeds. I even get an opportunity to hear what show he's watching with his wife. There's a couple shows, so you got to stay tuned. Pumped to share the combo with Chris. Just taped it this morning right before we started here. I know this is basketball season. Last night, Texas women's basketball team making the Final Four, which is so fun. It's so funny that they play. And I guess that Final Four, that regional was in Birmingham. But I can't believe, I've been to Spokane. I can't believe they had a regional in Spokane, Washington. That's great. It's not the easiest place to get to. But the late final, by the way, let me check that out. I got to be totally honest with you. I watched all of the Texas game, but I fell asleep. I didn't watch the second game. Let's check that out. Who is going to the Final Four? UConn, of course. Paige Beckers had 31. No surprise. Without Juju Watkins, you knew it was going to be tough. And yeah, so here we are. We got our Final Four set. And I was bummed to see TCU lose because I love Sedona Prince. You know, there's some always like, I like how she's like an electric player on the floor and kind of like a mystery off of it. There was all kinds of stuff in the offseason around her. And I don't like any of the stuff that could be serious and dark. But she's an interesting person, right? Anybody that can have like a whole TikTok page devoted to her and her relationships, and then can play like that on the floor, you've got my attention. So it's kind of sad to see her career end because, she played 4 years at Texas, transferred to Oregon, and then was with Haley Van Lith, like resurrected that program at TCU. And they'd never made an Elite Eight, I don't think. I don't know if they made a Sweet 16 before this year. And last year, they were just trying out randos to make the team. So it was a bummer to see them lose, but also Vic Schaefer, a great coach at Texas. Cool to see them go to a Final Four. It was cool to see the legendary Jody Conrad there, who won a championship with Texas, I think, in '86. And, it's always cool to see because we talk a lot about Texas. Texas is kind of like the Cowboys almost. Like they're so influential in the state of Texas as far as people kind of put them on a pedestal. And although whether that's earned or not, it is awesome every so often to see them remind us of why they're on the pedestal. We saw men's college football, right? What Sark is doing there is really cool. A couple of years ago, they were flirting with the Final Four. And, they came up short against Miami and our buddy Norshad Omier. And that was kind of the beginning of even though it was the beginning for Rodney Terry, it was kind of like the beginning of the end because he gets the contract after that. And then he just was never able to revisit that success. But then, this year we see the women's basketball team going to the Final Four. So good for Texas, good for the folks on 40 acres. I know Scotty probably doesn't like that, being a card carrying Baylor guy, but you do have to respect Texas. And there's a lot of hype around Texas. But imagine if they win this women's basketball championship. Like that would be a pretty big feather in their cap, Scotty, don't you think?
Sorry. Yeah.
It's like a sincere yeah.
No, it's very sincere. Here's the difference. And you heard me say this on my show. Please bear with me this weekend. There's a school in the state of Texas that struts around like they're big stuff and haven't ever won anything.
Oh man, Texas A&M's about to.
I was gonna say, I'm not talking about Texas Tech. They've won things. I'm talking about Texas A&M. They haven't won anything. But then there's a school that struts around like they're big stuff, and it's Texas. And at their best, they've won many things.
So you can accept Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I'm a Baylor fan, but I accept that is one of the best athletic departments in the history of the country. They not only have the money, they've got the trophies as well. And I generally think when Texas, Baylor fans might crucify me for this, but it's true. I think when Texas is competitive on a national level, it's good for the whole state. I do.
Yeah.
A&M has similar money and not at all similar history in terms of wins and losses and championships. And the fan base acts like they are the premier school in Texas, and they're just not.
What? Let me ask you this off
not.
the top of my head, and I'm not trying to pile on A&M here because that's a school. Yeah. Even when I was in high school, I wanted to play football for R.C. Slocum. Simply, or Jackie. No, it was R.C. Slocum. Jackie Sherrill, I think, was at Mississippi State at the time. Either way, it wasn't good enough. So back to you. What has Texas A&M ever won?
Great question.
I'm being dead serious.
No, I'm dead serious. Like nothing. Like they I don't want to act like they have no tradition. That is with great tradition. They have storied tradition. They've had many good football teams.
By the way, stay with the segment 2. We actually have a real military person.
They have
not people.
Yeah.
Chris actually served in the Army.
The real military.
Yeah, the real military.
No. They're it is not like bottom of the barrel athletic department at all.
No kidding.
Johnny Manziel,
No kidding. But I'm asking you a point blank question. Do I need to look it up? Like
I can't name off the top of my head
what's the biggest sporting event they have ever won?
It's not. I think they claim a national championship in football, but it's not that. It's not one they actually won on the field. I think that's something they get roasted for a lot is they've got years on the stadium where they've claimed championships where it's like, well, in this one poll, we were ranked number 1.
What year would that be?
Like the 40s or the 50s, like forever freaking ago, right?
Okay.
Yeah. No, so I cannot off the top of my head tell you. I don't think they've ever won it in football, men's basketball. They did win a women's basketball championship a while back.
Okay.
When they were still in the Big 12.
Okay.
They were so I'll give them that. Like it's again, it's not a nothing.
But look at how many
it's the fact that they're fans and
how many did Baylor win with Kim Mulkey? Like 3?
More. Yeah, exactly. It's the fact that their fan base struts around like we're the top dogs, and they get so it's little. I call it little sister syndrome. They get so offended if you suggest the University of Texas is the premier program in the state because they think they're right there. But when you look at their history, especially in football, it's not close.
So you could
put close.
So with all the hype and the pomp and circumstance around Texas A&M, we know they have tons of money. Their stadium is beautiful. For the most part, it's always jam packed.
Yeah, great fan.
Oh my God,
great! That's the fan base you want if you're a player. Yeah. They're all in and they're loud and they're great. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Totally.
Unfortunately, by week 8, they're usually 4-4. That's what the bummer is. I mean,
Like let me put it this way. Because I've been ragging on them, and I need to be objective.
No,
I wish Baylor's fan base had 10% of the stick with it that A&M's fan base has.
Yeah,
like Baylor's fan base is the classic. If we're winning, we're hype. If we're losing, screw you. We're not even going to go to the game. Yeah. I hate that. I wish we were more passionate, dedicated like their fans are. Props to them. But I'd rather be Baylor's athletic department. More conference championships in football, national championship in basketball.
I'm about to say, in the past, since I've been to Waco, and I just missed the Art Briles era, I've still witnessed 2 Sugar Bowls and 2 Big 12 title games, one of which they won.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's and one Sugar Bowl, which they won.
Right.
Like what? I don't know that A&M has had that success.
Well, but then their fans want to turn out their nose and say, "Well, that's why we went to the SEC." It's like, okay, and that was wiser than staying in the Big 12. Like, do you think you could have won?
Well, that was purely money.
Oh, I know, and we know that.
Yeah,
we know that. But Baylor won because they're still in the Big 12. Okay, and what have you done lately? By the way, before they left for the SEC, they weren't winning the Big 12 either. Texas, Oklahoma, Texas Tech was in the title once. Oklahoma State was in the conversation. A&M wasn't winning the Big 12 when they were still in the Big 12.
What has A&M won outside?
Nothing, bro. In football, it's nothing. The answer: Johnny Manziel won a Heisman. That's what they've got. It's
amazing because they do have this vibe, like they have accomplished so much.
Look, Bear the Truth's chiming in. I appreciate him. He says they won the Southwest Conference and have
Southwest Conference.
Exactly. They've won Southwest Conference titles and have lived on that for years. I don't think they ever won the Big 12 the whole time they were in the Big 12. I don't think they ever won it. I think Texas and Oklahoma, obviously have the most by far. Kansas State had some, Nebraska had some, but Colorado had one. I don't think A&M ever won it. And they've not won an SEC. I don't even think they haven't even been in an SEC championship game yet.
I don't think so. No, I mean, I go all the way back being like a football nerd. Like I remember Greg Hill. I remember Aaron Glenn. Of course, I'm talking about R.C. Slocum.
Legend. R.C. Slocum, great coach.
Oh unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm not taking anything away from.
No, and you can't say that they're not one of the premier football programs in the country. But at the same time,
I can say that. Listen, for me, premier football program means you've won championships. And I'm not even saying it has to be like a national title every 10 years, but like teams that are consistently in their conference championship game and winning 10 games.
They were good this year. I mean, there's no question.
They didn't. Oh my gosh. Well,
go ahead. Tell me.
I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Okay.
I can't call them a premier
When
program.
they played Texas, right, late in the season, that was a super exciting game.
Let's just name. Look, okay. Let's just
December 1st. I remember it. It was like there was so much.
It was an exciting game, and I'm excited that rivalry's back. I think that's good for the state and good for football. But they are not going to win that game most years. They're not.
Yeah,
they're not going to. I'm sorry. Like there was even times in the past where I was rooting for them to win that game, but no, they're not going to. I mean, Pete. Okay, you said premier football. You said premier football programs.
Uh-huh.
Let's start. Let's think about. What are actually premier college football programs? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan,
Notre Dame now,
Penn State, Notre Dame. Yeah. I'd put them in there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, always Notre Dame, but
Texas,
definitely now again.
I'd say Oklahoma still. I know it's been a rough couple of years. Oklahoma's a premier program. Maybe USC, the last 10 years has been rough, but certainly at one time.
Did you say Michigan?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, Michigan. What do all those teams have in common? Championships.
Yeah.
Conference championships. Oregon, right? They're in there now. And all those teams are in the playoff regularly.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay,
yeah, come on.
The first line, and this is Wikipedia. Texas A&M Aggies claim 3 national titles and have won 21 conference titles.
Claim.
They claim.
Now dig in on that.
Two Heisman Trophy winners. We forgot John David Crow and Manziel, but that Crow was 57.
Yeah. Legend. I mean, great.
Yeah, amazing. He was the first redshirt freshman ever to win the award. A&M had 2 perfect seasons, having gone undefeated and unscored upon in 1917 and 1919. And in 1939,
Okay.
the year of my father's birth,
Okay.
they were named AP national champion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the past almost century,
Hold on.
like props to you in 1917, unscored upon is genuinely impressive. I don't care what era, that's impressive. Okay, I'll give them 1970.
All right, hold on. So let's go. All right. Jackie Sherrill took over the program, won 3 consecutive conference titles and 2 Cotton Bowls. Okay. R.C. Slocum then replaced him. Slocum finished in the top 25, 10 of his 14. So that's like awesome. And he did win 4 conference titles. That was Southwest Conference, though, right? Yeah. Including the school's only Big 12 title. That was his last year in 98. Slocum owns the Aggies' last undefeated season in 1994, but they were ineligible because of conference sanctions. So they were perfect in 94.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And that is why I remember them. That's why I remember Aaron Glenn and Greg Hill, because that was the 94 team.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in other words, we are a quarter of the way through the 21st century.
Yeah.
And in this century, they have Johnny Manziel. That's it. That's it.
In the 2007 season, the Aggies finished in a 3-way tie for 3rd place. Texas Tech, yeah. There's not a ton of success here. I mean, and then you had A&M was that program, like Dennis Francione had success, and then he went to Alabama, right?
Dude, even when he was at A&M, I do remember this. I was old enough to remember this. He was not well-loved as the head coach at A&M.
Okay.
People thought he underperformed at A&M.
All right, let's check
and then
basketball.
He was a bad
real
hire
quick.
at Alabama.
The basketball, Texas A&M basketball has been dormant for much of its recent history. Until the mid-2000s, the Aggies have won 11 conference championships, 2 tournament titles, 2 conference tournament titles, and have 10 NCAA tournament appearances. Under former head coach Billy Gillespie, the Aggies finished 4th.
Wait, rewind. 10 NCAA tournament appearances?
Yeah.
Ever?
That's what it says, yeah. Yeah.
Folks, that's not good. Like, I'm sorry. That's rough. You know how many teams get into that thing every year?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know how many times they've made the Sweet 16. The Aggies were 1 point short of advancing to the Sweet 16.
Folks, listen.
Yeah, it's not good. But honestly, it's a really interesting education when you just put it down on paper, because so much of college sports is the pomp and circumstance, the emotion.
Yeah.
And also the environment, like a Texas Tech or Texas A&M football game. I've been lucky enough to go to a couple. It's like nothing you've ever seen.
It's awesome.
It's
I
amazing.
will not take that away from
and
them.
you get swallowed up by that environment at Kyle Field. It's not the same at McLean Stadium.
No.
I mean, it's head and shoulders above that
I can see
fan experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here, but again, so going back to 15 minutes ago, what kicked off this whole thing? The reason I, as a Baylor fan, can say yes to UT and I really struggle with A&M is, as a Baylor fan, I root for an athletic department that has less money, smaller school, smaller alumni base, and yet has often overexceeded expectations. Women's basketball national championships, men's basketball national championship, multiple Big 12 titles, Sugar Bowl victory, right? That's exceeding where Baylor should be. Texas is a school that I think often meets expectations. Yeah. Big budget, good ADs, all the resources, and they win championships. A&M's the opposite. They have the big budget, the hype, the fan base, the facilities, all of it, your location, all of it. And they underperform expectations.
I got to challenge one thing. When you say location, what do you mean by that?
I mean, I think and Baylor, Texas, and A&M, I think, have this in common. I think Central Texas is a pristine location.
Yeah, but dude, I would have
because you can recruit Dallas, Houston, Austin, East Texas.
I would much rather live in Waco, and of course,
I would too.
Austin before College Station.
I would too. My point is for kids that want their parents to come to the football games, those 3 schools, it's prime time. Like a parent can drive. Like that's where I think Texas Tech, like what Joey McGuire's doing at Tech, is very impressive because you're convincing Austin and Houston kids to move 8 hours north.
Yeah.
And that's just like that is a feat compared to like convincing them to come to Waco. Like it is.
Okay.
But I think College Station's like you can still recruit like the heck out of East Texas and Houston, Dallas, Austin kids.
You know,
The smoke and mirrors around A&M is very. This sounds contradictory, but it's very real.
I know.
it's
We
crazy.
did not plan this segment, but this has
Yeah.
been a blast.
Yeah, we did not plan it. It was a blast.
And I am wearing a maroon hat today, but it is from Austin. So